Well, it was just 2 weeks ago that we were reporting on a New York police officer murdered by a drug suspect who, by many accounts, should have been in jail. Then this past Friday, President Obama ordered the release of thousands of drug convicts, despite concerns from cops, all the way up to the commissioner of the largest police force in the country.
One of the issues of concern is when people go to jail, oftentimes they go to jail with negotiated charges, if you will, so that somebody that is in jail that seems that they're a nonviolent drug offender may in fact have crimes of violence in their record. So we have to be very concerned about who we're letting out. Some people are bad people, and we need to separate the bad people from the good people.
Judge Andrew Napolitano is our Fox News senior judicial analyst. He's with me now. I thought we did that when we sent them to prison. Bad. The bad people went to the prison and the good people stayed out of the prison, and now they're letting the bad people out early.
Sometimes good people go to prison. Sometimes people are in prison because they have an addiction and they don't belong in prison. Prison actually makes them worse, not better.
This is true, but some of these folks are armed career criminals, serial violent criminals, according to the U.S. attorneys.
They should not be released. If the president wants to accelerate the release, so we're talking about people who've served 75% of their term. In the federal system, if you've served 85%, they have to let you out. That's the law. If the president wants to accelerate those releases and they're nonviolent, did not deal drugs, did not take drugs in front of their children, didn't harm anybody but themselves, I think the president is actually using federal resources in an appropriate way, because those jail cells should be filled by more dangerous people, not by these folks.
But the problem is, what assurance do we have that these are sort of, you know, you picture like the college kid smoking pot and you think, oh, he got locked up for 20 years, that should be reduced. But that is not who we are talking about here. If you look at the records of some of these people, they used guns, they shot at people, they were arrested for assault, they pleaded down for much more serious crimes.
Well, if violence is involved, they are not appropriate candidates for early release. And if the president is releasing people who were convicted of crimes of violence, and I understand what Commissioner Bratton said, and he's right. You and I both spent a portion of our lives in the criminal justice system. Often you're charged with a crime and you plead to something that bears no resemblance to what you've been charged with. If violence was involved, they do not belong being released. On the other hand, they are about to be released anyway.
What's going to, well, not about, but in a few years, what's going to happen to these people? A lot of them are coming from halfway houses, but a lot of them are coming directly from prison. Where do they go?
I don't know what's going to happen.
Do we monitor them? Do we make sure that they stay nonviolent?
Some of them will be on probation. Some of them will be absolutely free because, Megan, they didn't belong in jail in the first place. Jail is not the place for an addict who will harm only himself. Jail is the place for someone who has harmed others and who cannot enjoy the freedom the rest of us are born with.
I know, you make it sound like some sort of utopia for these poor people, but I mean, this is one guy, Willie Best, he shot at someone he believed had stolen from him. He was found in a stolen car with an assault rifle and other guns. Then there's this other woman.
And what was Willie
She was found distributing 11,000 grams of crack. She doesn't sound like that model of a citizen.
That is not a person who should be released. The president said...
Well, she's getting out.
Well, the president said...
She had 14 years shaved off of her 35-year crack and powder cocaine conspiracy sentence.
I do not know what would motivate the President of the United States to do that.
I don't know.
But if his motivation is a recognition that there are too many people in jail that don't belong there, and nonviolent offenders who harmed no one but themselves should get out, I agree with him.
This is one of the people who had a reduced sentence under, it's called a drugs -2 policy, happened in July. In any event, we'll continue to